Hello, it's Fran Davidson from psychicandenergywork.com.au, and this is my monthly update for March 2025. The monthly update is always a halfway through the month sort of look at what's going on when we're looking at the numbers, but also when we're looking at the energies of the month as they've presented so far. Implicit in that can be the question of, how have you been going? How have you been feeling? What have you been sensing, whether that's in the body, around the body, onto the body, or even just as a vibe that's out there, be it yours or somebody else's or even the collective? So March is a really interesting time. It's another powerful month in a pretty powerful year. Hello, we've had a couple of powerful years already. Last year was an absolute doozy for lots of people. But 2025 is interesting because 2025 is a 9. And 9 is always about the close, the end of the current book that we have all on the collective level been writing, been involved with, been characters in a way that, therefore, numerology always does this. It always highlights the individual's role in things and therefore the individual's influence, responsibility, learning curves and growth, even rewards. And it also highlights, when we're looking at a generic level, like how is it this month, it also highlights the collective rhythms that we're going to be caught up in, experience, again, from a very pleasant and also quite possibly some days from a more challenging aspect. What's interesting in that is that 9, yes, it's the close of a 9-year cycle. 9 is the marker, and it doesn't matter whether we're talking about years or hours or days. Yeah, 9 is always the end of the current 9-stage cycle. And so within that, though, is the fact that 9 is also the beginning of the end that sets up the beginning of the new 9-year cycle really well, or at least is meant to. What I'm trying to hit upon there is that 9 is not the end of our transitioning. It's not the end of our closing, even though the 9-year, that's very much its job. When we're talking numerology, especially when we're looking at an adult life, and even more so when we're looking at adult lives that have done a number of 9-year cycles, in other words, older people. Older doesn't necessarily have to mean 60 or 80. It can mean 30. It can mean 39. It can be 40. Yeah. So 9 is very much halfway through a period of transition. And that period often starts at the 7 or 8 year, which means if we're talking 7s, that would have been in 2023. In other words, at the beginning of 2023, we all collectively entered a phase of transitioning that is likely to happen, or was at that stage, likely to roll on for the next 5 to 6 years. Why? Because the last 3 years in a cycle, 9-year cycle, and the first 3 years, 2 to 3, are often, especially for adults who have lived a number of cycles, this period is often a period that is about, first of all, close down, clear out, let go of old or stuck or stagnant, make way for the new. And then as the 1 year approaches, which will be January 2026, then we enter a period of induction. And what I mean, I don't mean induction as in cooking. I mean induction as in life starts to introduce us to the dynamics, to the learning curves, to the themes that it wants us all to be picking up on and starting to work with, live with, dance with, channel more of in the new 9-year cycle. So what am I trying to get at here? The reason why I'm mentioning this is because over this last week or so, I've been tuning into a couple of websites and blogs, etc. And very much the emphasis is on this year and how this year is really going to see the shift. This year is the year when, things are really going to change and it'll all be sorted by the end of the year. That may not be the message that's trying to be imparted, but in hearing some of the words that are being said, that could be a take on it. And what I want to do in this monthly update is flag the fact that, hello, we're only halfway not even halfway. We have to wait till December. We're only about halfway through this period of transitioning. And that period of transitioning is going to last until 2028, 2029, as in December's. None of that needs to mean that we're all stuck where we are right now for the next 3.5 years. Yeah. What it means, though, as an overall message is we're being asked to play the long game. We're being asked to focus on the fact and therefore learn about the fact that, you know what, life is flow, ebbing, waning, peaking, troughing. Yeah. And the more that we do this at the moment, the more that we pick up on this lesson, the better we are as observers, as receivers, not only on a physical or, should we say, real world level, but also on an intuitive level. Because, of course, when mind is full, when mind is busy, when we are, should we say, simply being humans, responding to whatever's going on, our view can be a little bit myopic, a little bit tunnel visioned, whether that's in a very pleasant way, very productive way, or whether it's in perhaps a more pessimistic way. Mind helps us become limited. Yeah, and through that, then we can start to shut down on universal flow. Life is very much, it seems, in March, trying to teach us about universal flow and how universal flow, shall we say, is a dynamic that is beyond the human, even though the human can assist it, facilitate it, encourage it, step into it, embrace it, channel it. Flow is very much beyond the individual's control, even though as thinking, feeling and creative beings, we have input. So what I'm really trying to highlight there is, of course, the universe is in charge, not us. None of that needs to cancel out whatever spiritual practice feels right for each of us as individuals. But it also requires us to come out of our heads, to come out of our theories, not because they're wrong, but it is only by coming to the place of absolute stillness, absolute quiet, no more words in the headset, yeah? On the energetic level, that we actually open up for the universe to actually even present itself in full and go, boo, I'm here. Let me show you what I've got for you. Not necessarily as a physical goodie, even though there's nothing wrong with that, but also as an insight, as an inspiration, as an explanation of what's been going on in a way that it's those moments set in nothingness, set in silence and space and release, breath. It's those moments that really create the potential and attract the potential for the more that we can sometimes wish for to actually come in, first as an energy, secondly as an idea or an insight, piece of intuition. Thirdly, then, as a knowing that one, it is possible, two, it's going to happen if we let it, and three, how can we help it energize? What's really interesting about March, as in March 2025, that is this year, the chart is very much speaking to this. So in March, if you go through to my website, psychicandenergywork.com.au, to the observations page, you'll find it under the read banner on the right-hand side at the top. Go through to that page, the monthly observations page, because there I write out the numbers for March, right? In sum, this March, we're seeing 5 3s, we're seeing 4 5s, and we're seeing 3 8s. Now, all of those numbers, those 3 specifically, can be really given the label of creative dynamics. You with me? Creating, manifesting, attracting, even influencing. 3 can be very much read as the number of realization, of manifesting, of clarification, of creating, attracting, influencing. But also it is the number and therefore the phase in the 9-year cycle, or 9-stage cycle, that teaches us how to go with flow. Flow being the universe, flow being shall we say, life in itself unfolding, which is bigger than the individual and influenced and originating out of far more than the individual, irrespective of the individual involved. So 3 can be a time that helps us get into the groove, get the hang of how flow wants to happen for us, with us, through us, around us, in this very moment, in a way that therefore helps us understand, you know what, the way forward is X. Yeah, I can sense it's okay. I can sense I need to do this. So 3 is very much an opening up dynamic. And again, 5-3s feature this month, maybe even more if they're in your personal chart. So therefore, in one sense, what that's telling us is that March 2025 is here to really help us kick into our knowing of where we are, what is likely to be happen next, even if we can't put the words to it yet. Just that sense of, again, everything's okay, you're moving in the right direction, but also realizing insights, clarity on things that have been happening, whether that be yesterday, last month, last year, or many, many moons ago, even into past life. So that's 3, all right? 3, in one sense, you could say it's a very, shall we say, clever phase. And what I mean by that is it's a time when we start to really feel smart. Not necessarily intellectually smart, although there's nothing wrong with that, but smart in terms, you know what, I know where I'm going. I've got a sense of where I'm going. And whenever we're in that moment, we always feel more sort of strong, positive. Excuse me, there's a dog drinking water just now. Flow water. So that's 3s. Now, again, this month, we also see 4-5s, and 5 is about creating change. It is essentially change, whether that be change agent, experiencing change, being forced to change, encouraged to change, or even being a trendsetter, a fashion leader, a momentum leader, in a way, a force for change, an influencer. Yeah? So 5 can be very much about helping people step into their role as influencers of themselves, their journey, even their work, as well as influencers of other people. And here I'm not talking about social media influencers, even though they too form part of this equation. So 5 is about sensing what is possible. In one sense, it is about knowing what is possible in a very felt way, because at the end of the day, in intuitive terms, it's the felt state that really confirms it feels right. If I feel like, well, I've got to do it. You with me? Be wary of those words, not wary of them. Be mindful of those words, because it's the felt state that always goes, yeah, you're right, you're on track. The mind will never deliver that just by itself. So 5 is also knowing it is possible. And hopefully by now, in my describing of 5, not only is it knowing it's possible, but it's also about helping the individual, the human being, come into a moment where it's like, not only do I know it's possible, but I actually know that I can do it, whatever it is. I can achieve whatever I'm here for. Life is supportive of me. My life will and can include all of the things I've ever intuitively known I'm here to do. It's only mind that stops us with that, isn't it? So again, 5, just like 3, can create certainty. It can promote the growth of certainty around the phrase, I can, life will, I'm going to, there's no reason why not, let me at it. The last number of repetition to really notice this month is the 8. And again, we've got 3 of them. Now, 8 can be read as a tighter level of vision. What do I mean by that? You could say greater vision, but really vision as in the vision of my life path. In other words, the individual sense of this is what I'm here for. This is my picture. This is what I'm here to achieve as a visual or as a sense of knowing. You with me? And therefore, on one level, I'd argue many of us, we you could say at some stage of our life, at least once, we connect intuitively to an image of what our old age is here to be. The level of life, the quality of life, the scope, what is possible, the sort of elements that are going to exist in it. 8 is very much the final time in a cycle that is about helping us really distill our vision, get tighter on it, even deeper on it, but as a scope, as an understanding, and again as a sense of, you know what, I've actually come to the moment where I'm crystal clear on it in a way that therefore I don't need to doubt it anymore. I don't need to argue with it anymore. I just need to actually get on and do it. Yeah? So all of these numbers, 3, 5, and 8, again, can, if we're working with them in the right way, in other words, if we're not just putting all of our energy into fighting against what's challenging us. So easy to say. But when we're working well with life, we are acknowledging that life is flow. And here, this video goes full circle back to what I was describing at first. Life is flow. Flow is a dynamic that is beyond the individual. It has an intelligence of its own. You could say that flow is the universe, and the universe is flow. Yeah? They can't be separated. And when we really know that, we can again make room for the divine as flow, as the source of flow, and also as the facilitator, the deliverer of flow. You could even say the conveyor belt. Yeah? We can make room, enough room, for the divine to actually drop on in as an energy, as a knowing, as an intuitive, but also as a guiding and facilitating leading force. As a last point from there, this month is very much helping people understand and step into their role as observers of these things. And I don't mean passive observers, lethargic observers. Yeah, as in, no, not even lethargic, apathetic. Yeah, what do I mean by that? This month isn't promoting observation and witnessing, receiving in a way that is just, here, look at the photo, but remain disengaged from it. This month, this year, but March 2025 is very much a time that is trying to highlight to people their role in the big picture flow. It is also a time that is trying to help people understand that, you know what, we don't need to be worrying about the flow or the responses that are outside of us as a first point. Of course, we've got to deal with them. Of course, we've got to live in amongst them. Yeah, all of those things. And yet, if we're talking about attracting, if we're talking about manifesting, if we're talking about allowing life or enabling life to be all it can be, the focus needs to be on self's position with the universe, self's position as a channel of energy, of intelligence, and therefore of influencing skill. Because when we truly focus on ourselves as a cog in the mechanism, as a first step, what we're doing is we're making sure that we are interfacing with the rest of the system as well and as exactly as we've been brought here to. From that point, having received the insights, then we're asked to engage with the outer world. Then we're asked to engage in a way that is about carrying what we've just realised out there to make the difference, to shape the outcomes, etc., etc. So hopefully this video helps to place some of what's been going on in your world. Remember that this year is halfway through. Play the long game. That doesn't mean sacrifice unnecessarily or in an imbalanced way or even in a logical way if it's coming just from mind. It means breath, time out, quietness, come back to the sense of all is well, come back to your guidance from above, let go of the bustle, the hustle, the noise, the push, the pull, the negative. Because it's only when we're truly free of all of those dynamics that we're actually in a place to receive the big picture at all. Travel well. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know if I can help you in any respect. Visit the website psychicandenergywork.com.au to learn more about me, to read more about March this year. Take good care. Travel soon.